Hey everyone, it's Courtney Ortiz, your host on Making the Impact, a dance competition podcast. Today we're throwing it back to an episode that goes hand in hand with last week's release about performance quality. Season 4, episode 128, Battling Stage Fright as a Performer. We originally recorded this conversation in early 2023, but let's be honest, performance anxiety and stage fright are still huge topics in 2025. Whether you're a dancer stepping onto the competition stage, a professional performing 8 shows a week, or even a teacher helping students calm their nerves before that big solo, this episode is packed with timeless advice. And here in 2025, mental health awareness in the dance industry has grown so much. So many more studios are openly talking about performance anxiety. Competitions are creating calmer backstage environments, and dancers are learning new ways to overcome the stress of being a performing artist. So as you head into this new competition season, think about this episode as your mindset reset. And now let's jump into our throwback episode from Season 4, Battling Stage Fright as a Performer. Hope you enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Making the Impact. I'm your host, Courtney Ortiz, and I'm here with my co-host, Lesley Mealor.
What's up, Courtney?
Not too much. Happy New Year. How's your year going so far?
You know, it's 12 days in, and I like 2023, so feeling good.
Yay. Awesome. I like 2023 and 12 days into it because we're getting closer and closer to the competition season starting. Yay!
Yes, I'm super excited about that, too. It's inching closer and closer every day, so I hope everybody is rehearsing and, you know, just getting everything situated, rehearse away from the mirror. Make sure you do your dress rehearsal with your costumes and your shoes. Make sure that we are just ready to go, because if you haven't already started competition, you're about to start any minute now.
And speaking of competition and performing, you might get a little bit nervous when you hit the stage the very first time this season. And today we are here to talk all about that little thing called stage fright that we might all experience at a point in time, or maybe still experience every time you hit the stage. Whether you're at competition, you're at recital, performance, auditioning, you name it, we all experience it. And we're going to talk about this topic today in full detail, which I can't wait to do.
Yes, we've got some amazing guests here today to give us their perspective on stage fright and the anxiety that comes with it.
All right, Dance World, it's time to jump into this week's episode all about stage fright. Oh my gosh, something we have not talked often about on the podcast. We definitely have talked about mental health for dance. Maybe we've talked about anxiety here and there, but the actual pressure of stage fright when you enter the stage, I'm sure that every dancer in existence has experienced this in one way or another. Maybe you finally figured out how to overcome it. Maybe you deal with it every single time you step foot on the stage. I know I personally have had some stage fright experiences growing up and still to this day, I'm not going to lie. So I can't wait to get into the discussion and introduce our fabulous guests who are joining us today. They are both brand new guests to our podcast. I know, so exciting. I'm so happy that we were able to make this work for them both. Our first guest is a guest who we've been dying to have on the podcast for a very long time, and we finally made it work. He is an IDA judge on our roster and a fabulous current working professional and musical theater performer in New York City. I'm excited to welcome Caleb Dicke to the podcast. Welcome, Caleb.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I can't believe you haven't been on before. I'm like, Courtney said that, and I was like, is that true?
I know.
But I guess
we were actually scheduling like the day before, and then I had an audition. I was like, I'm sorry, Courtney, I got to go to this callback. And then she was like, oh. And I booked it. So like, it was like, I did. So like.
Oh, hello.
And then every time I'm looking at the topics, I'm like, oh, I love these topics. And this one came up. I was like, oh, I really feel like this one's important to me. So I really wanted to dive into this one. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I think the episode that we tried to have you on when you booked the job, I think might have been the prop episode. Or
yes.
Was that it?
Oh,
it was because I have a prop blem. I love props too much, but I have strong opinions on props. Like I could talk for an hour about props. So,
right,
my specialties.
And I think we were super sold. We all remember the Caleb Dicke solo that we watched on the virtual competition that was about
the
pizza and the hopelessly devoted to you, and we just we still talk about it to this day.
Yeah.
Oh,
so great.
Good. Such clever use of
prop. Thank you.
Yeah. So we knew we wanted you for that one, but it's okay. You booked a job instead. So now you're here. And Caleb, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our listeners and the dance world out there a little bit more about you, where you're based, where you grew up, what your training's like, any career credits you like to share, and what you're working on.
Sure. I grew up on a dairy farm in Ohio, and I was a competition dancer with a Miami Valley Dance Center. And then I went to college at Oklahoma City University for dance performance. Go Stars out there. And then I moved to the city where I focused in mostly musical theater. And then, like you have like the gigs that come up in between contracts. I've always been a very story-driven based dancer. So I find that adds into my choreography when I teach back at home in Ohio. When I'm judging for IDA, I really dive into character and story. I think that's really important, and I'm going to talk about that later when we get into Stage Fright. And some credits I have, I was on HBO Max's The Gilded Age. Ooh.
Woo!
Cool.
I was an actor in that, no dancing. And then for the audition that we were talking about was for the Met Opera. So I made my Met debut in Eurydice, and then later on in Cinderella. Yeah. And so right now I'm so excited for next season to start judging. I'm like really looking forward to it. And that's me in a nutshell. I'm so excited to talk with y'all.
Yes. And Caleb has a podcast as well. Caleb, do you want to plug your podcast?
Yes, it's Equity One, Broadway's Happy Hour with Elliot Maddox. We sit down with theater individuals, performers, designers, directors, choreographers, everyone in the theater umbrella. And we just have a beverage of choice, and we just chat and really dive into what got us started in the arts. That's how we start every conversation, and go on a unique journey and listen to us anywhere you get your podcast.
Yes.
Very cool.
I love that. We've been saying for forever that we need to do like an Making the Impact after hours with potentially a beverage of choice in hand,
cool.
and just like just
you have to be very you have to stay focused, because if it's a long conversation you can get off topic very easily, and for the editors they're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to edit this?
Noted. Good to know.
Well, Caleb, we're pumped to have you on this chat. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, and our next very special guest is a brand new guest to our podcast, and also someone that I am just currently meeting right now. Lesley discovered this fabulous person on social media, and as we were looking for a guest for this episode, we knew we wanted someone in the mental health field to come and give their perspective. But what makes this person even more amazing is that they're also a dancer. So they're coming from that mental health perspective. They're currently a working therapist and a performance coach who've received their master's in mental health counseling. I'm excited to welcome Glenn Kelich to the podcast. Welcome, Glenn.
Howdy, howdy. Hey, thanks for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad that our paths united via social media and you were able to squeeze us into your busy schedule and sit down with us to chat dance tonight and stage fright, which is definitely an important topic to cover. So thank you.
No, thank you. This is mental health and dance is what got me started in this field. So I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. So same thing, if you want to tell the world a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I have had a love-hate relationship with dance my entire life. I actually also started in the comp world. I was a competition dancer for a few years before a teacher came to me and said, hey, if you want to do this dance thing, you need to get better at ballet, which led me to a ballet studio. I was kind of mainstream sports growing up, played football, basketball, all the good stuff. But then in high school, at the very end of it, decided to focus on ballet. That took me to IU, Indiana University's Jacob School of Music, where I was a ballet major there. I also majored in sports marketing and management. After IU, I went to the Kansas City Ballet, and I was there for a short amount of time before going back to IU because I got a concussion and mental health stuff. But that's what led me to a career in mental health. So it's all with a silver lining. And then the director of the Indianapolis Ballet said, hey, are you still dancing? And I said, no, but I'm interested. And so I kept dancing for a couple more years with the Indianapolis Ballet. So my professional career is in ballet, but I have a background in comp dance. And then eventually said that I wanted to take the mental health thing fully by the horns and give that everything I had because I saw a need. There weren't as many resources as there are for mainstream sports like football, basketball, baseball. They are required to have psychologists on staff and everything. To my knowledge, the dance companies I've worked for and been a part of do not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So I saw there was a need, and I wanted to be a resource because I certainly could have used one myself when I was in a company. So it's kind of where the inspiration came from. And so here we are. But yeah, so now I'm working as a therapist, a performance coach, and I also do some speaking for dance studios.
And you also have a podcast.
I do.
Tell the world.
I do. Yes. So my podcast is called The Mental Game. It is essentially I'm having conversations with dancers, performers. I've had a gymnast on, all kinds of athletes, but more so in the performance community. And I'm really just trying to start conversations around mental health because I feel like there's not enough of that. Even in my latter years of being a ballet dancer, I felt like it was becoming a conversation, but people were still afraid to talk about it. And I still saw people struggling so much to bring it up. And they felt scared. And so that was kind of my goal in creating the podcast was let's just continue to create as much awareness around this as possible. So I've had some really incredible guests share some things on the show that they hadn't shared publicly or at all with people before, which is incredibly powerful. I'm very grateful for my guests and my listeners and everything. And so it's been a really cool experience because, it's kind of like part therapist hat, part dancer hat at the same time. And it's been really incredible. It's been fun. The Mental Game.
Yes.
The Mental
Love
Game.
it.
Yeah.
And where can you find The Mental Game?
Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I think
Awesome.
Google Podcasts. Yeah. So those 3 platforms.
Sweet.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Very
We
good.
will definitely be linking both of y'all's podcasts in our show notes. And I hope everyone gives a listen to them both because we all love more podcasts in the dance and performance world. So give a listen, everybody, and support our guests. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
excited to jump into this. Thank you both for being here. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so I guess let's get a little personal as we jump right on in. I have definitely had stage fright, not as much in dancing, but in my brief career as like a supporting character in a musical where I have to say words on a stage. I don't know what it is in the moment. Like, I think I would love to hear about Caleb's experience talking about stage fright in terms of like characterization, because like I just want to kick my face. I want to be tree number 4 and kick my face and like be very pretty. And I don't want to necessarily be another person because I think if you can be another person, maybe your stage fright isn't that bad because you're not you. You're trying to be Carol or whatever.
Carol, love Carol.
And I could never get into that mindset. And so I was always just like terrified. And this would go on for like months of a show. I'd be doing a show every night. And right before I would have to go on and say a line, I would just like, my physical anxiety would heighten. I would get clammy. I would get hot. I would get sweaty. You could never hear me speak a line without like a waver in my voice. And it was like, okay, this is not for me. Like, apparently the stage fright is enough that like this is going to prevent me from doing anything. So like that's my experience with stage fright. Does anybody else have a personal experience they'd like to share to break the ice?
I was thinking about this. The first time that I can remember stage fright was I switched from we were 2nd through 8th grade. I was at one studio and we were recreational competition. We didn't train very hard. And then my freshman year, I switched to Miami Valley. And I remember at nationals, was my first time that I felt stage fright to do my solo because I was asked to come back and compete against all of these other titleists who were seniors. And I was like, oh, wow, like I'm going up against them. And why do I even stand a chance? And I remember one of the seniors pulling me aside and being like, Caleb, you know your solo. You know what you're doing out there. So don't worry about everyone else. Go out there and be the best that you can be and not think about, don't try and compare yourself because you're always going to fail when you start comparing. So that was my first thought of stage fright is that comparison when I was a freshman.
Compare leads to despair. That's,
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
It is. Yes. You have to drill that into your head for your whole life, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the other time that I think as like a professional was doing West Side Story for Joey McNeely. in the industry. You know, he's a very intense director and choreographer.
Oh, yeah.
Scary a little bit, and it's kind of old school.
Scary.
And like, and he also, Joey, I love you to death, and he knows that he's like this. So no, I'm no problem name dropping him or anything like that. But there was this part of the ballet in Act 2. There's this really intense partnering section, Ortiz, and I would have to mentally walk myself through that entire section before we eat during intermission. So I felt like I did it like once mentally before I could go on stage, just so like I could get all of like the muscle memory back into my body before I went on stage. Because I also thought that would that really helped me get through once I got on stage.
Yeah. I feel like that these days as a professional, something I've noticed is I guess this is kind of stage fright. I start getting in my head a lot. I mean, I'm sure we all do, but like I start second guessing myself, and then I start freaking out that I'm not going to remember the choreography right before the song starts or I'm supposed to go.
Yes.
And then I just black out on stage. This is a new thing.
And somehow
I'm just crossing my fingers and saying, well, here we go. And I just hope that I just know what I'm doing. And this is like happened in the last few shows that I've done. Anytime I get on stage, I just black out and trust that I'm going to do it. And that freaks me. I don't like that feeling because I feel very disconnected and separated from like my craft. And I don't even know if I'm like even performing to my fullest because I don't really even remember. Like halfway through, I start to relax and I'm there again. But like at least for the first 30 seconds, I am totally not present on stage. And that's kind of freaky. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a little scary. It's definitely a new thing. I've never felt that. I would say like the past maybe like 4 years, that's been a new thing. I haven't been on stage like performing in a while because, you know, pandemic and life. But I specifically remember like the last time I was doing Jerome Robbins Broadway at Theater Under the Stars was the last time I was like actually in a performing job. There was like before I did the King and I section, I just remember sitting backstage waiting and like thinking, I don't know if I'm going to remember what's about to happen when I get out on stage. Like I specifically every night, top of Act 2. Who knew what was going to happen? But I guess I did it. I was okay.
You didn't get fired.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, you got
I made it through the run and I did my job.
You must not have done too poorly.
Yeah.
It's Courtney. It's funny that you mentioned that worrying about choreography in particular, because my stage fright experiences have come by way of just worrying about how well I'll perform. But then I've forgotten choreography because of it. So mine have been, I was doing a guesting. It was my first professional guesting as a ballet dancer. And I was doing a performance with this company. It's actually, it was a ballet company, but I was just, I forget. I was more of it was a primary role, but like a secondary dance within the performance. Either way, it was my first time doing guesting. So it's, you know, the accommodations, like everything was making me nervous. I had never been picked up by someone. I didn't know, like, should I go to the grocery store? Like, I don't really know how any of this works. And so all of it was kind of making me nervous, and it all added up to that first dress rehearsal. I was worried about, I was comparing myself to the other dancers. I wanted to make sure that they were happy with what they were getting in me. And then in that dress rehearsal, maybe a minute or 2 minutes into the piece that we were doing, I just completely forgot everything I was doing.
Oh,
wow!
And we had to stop, and I had never experienced a guesting before, so you know, of course, was very embarrassed. But that was definitely my stage fright experience, my first one, my first stage fright experience. But the forgetting choreography thing, that'll hit you.
Yeah, I mean, and it's wild because I feel like all of these experiences are with pieces of material that you know, that you've learned, that you've practiced, that you're possibly being paid to do. I never had the issue at an audition.
Really?
Like, I would learn the choreography, know it, do it, not, like, maybe I would forget it occasionally, but, like, there's other people, you have a mirror. Yeah. There was never a moment, I feel like, in an audition where I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Right.
You know, like that moment of sort of stage fright that you get before you do a show.
It's different.
I feel like it's different. And I feel like that there's got to be something in your brain that's like, you know, it's new material, so something fires differently up there with your memory maybe, or you don't have time to psych yourself out because you're just like, boom, it's my turn. As opposed to, okay, I've been working on this for 9 months and I'm going to go on stage and this one moment really matters because this is the title, the title routine of the competition and I have to do it right. Like, I think that pressure is a different feeling than like an in the moment audition pressure.
Kind of like what you just said. I mean, if you think about it, competition is blending performance and audition at the same time. Like that's like two different skills. That stresses me out just thinking about that. Because like you said, like auditioning is hard in itself, but it's kind of a little like you want the job, obviously, so you're giving it your all. But at the same time, it is a different kind of nervousness than you would if you have to go out and do a performance on stage by yourself. Like not even in a competition aspect. Like if I am asked to do a solo at this very moment as an adult professional, I am stressed to the max, scared, terrified, sweating profusely. Like, like I don't like that feeling. I still, like to this day, I'm 33 years old. Like I'm always going to be nervous to enter the stage, especially more so if I'm by myself than if I'm with others, because there's more stakes. It's more pressure. It's just you, So I can't imagine what the kids, I mean, we all obviously competed at a point in time, it sounds like. So like, I definitely was confident when I was young, and I know I got nervous, but I think it definitely adjusts and changes as you get older too. You experience different types of nervousness, and I'm sure the dancers listening are probably shaking their head like, yep, when you're 8, you're fearless. When you're 15, you're in your head, you're freaking out,
Yeah. It's like you don't know any better when you're little, so you're just going out there and having a good time. Like I never had stage fright in a group number growing up in high school or anything. Like I was always like, oh, I got my team around me. Like maybe there's a lift where you're like, okay, we got to get through this lift. Right. But then otherwise I'm like, oh, like we've got this, y'all. Let's go do it. It is the solos. I feel like you get it a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would also be curious. I don't know if you guys have had this experience. Like for me, it was when I was getting paid to do something, I felt like there was a different expectation on it. Like for some reason, when I was doing a solo as a comp kid, or when I was doing a solo in a ballet competition, it felt different and it compared to when I was getting paid.
Right.
It was like that those first few performances of that just felt like there were more at stake.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had that experience.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like you get that imposter syndrome sometimes, and you're like, okay, I've got this job. That means I'm qualified. But I'm really nervous about this performance that I'm being paid for, that somebody chose me for. Maybe I'm not actually good enough. Maybe they shouldn't be paying me for this. Like it kind of all just like spirals if you put yourself in that mindset of like, I don't deserve this job. And I think a lot of performers get, feel that anxiety sometimes too, that like, again, compare leads to despair. Like so-and-so is so much better than me. So-and-so is, would have been better at this. I don't know. I think that comes into play when money starts happening. And then also, just sort of hearing about some of the things that are going on currently in the professional world, you can get replaced real quick, for many reasons. And so the pressure of like having to do it right and having to do it properly and being worthy of the job, of course people have anxiety about that. And so I hope the listeners, like our younger listeners, are feeling some sort of relief to know that like we have all been paid to dance professionally, and we have all experienced this like kind of debilitating at times feeling, nervous about our performance or stage fright before we go on. You're not alone.
You're not alone, no.
Just like pleasing the choreographer, like kind of like what you were talking about with Joey. I mean, I worked with Joey as well in West Side, and he is intense, harder on the boys than he is on the girls, I have to say. But, I think it's like in that job for me, like West Side Story was my first actual musical. So for me, I knew I could dance that show. I mean, I knew I was the right dancer for this show. But was I qualified enough to be singing on stage? Was I qualified enough to have lines on stage? Like I've never done that before. So I was nervous to make sure that I was able to deliver the expectation of the job. And that's kind of like what you're saying, Glenn, of like, okay, you're getting paid, you got the job, and now you have to please the customer and and please the choreographer and please who hired you. And like, I'm sure that young dancers can feel the same when they're in a routine and they want to please their teacher and they want to please mom and dad because they're spending all this money. And, it's stressful. You put a lot of stress on you. I definitely feel that still to this day when I go on to different jobs or even when I'm in certain auditions and I'm like, am I even capable? Like, am I the right candidate for this? Am I qualified for this? Like, what happens if I get on the job and they expect me to do this, this, and that, and I can't? Or like, what if my injury is going to prevent me from doing this? Then I can start getting anxiety because I can be replaced. Like you said, Lesley, like you know, that's a scary thing to think that like we are replaceable. And we've talked about that on the podcast before as far as like, you know, it's a stigma in the dance industry that like you're always replaceable and you better be in tip top shape and better be ready. But like, you know, always be on your A game. But it's a lot of pressure on us mentally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and then like when you're the one replacing someone, because that's almost all of my career was being a replacement for someone who got injured.
But don't you love being the replacement a little bit? Yeah. You're like, I came in and I saved the day. I learned this show in a week. Let's put me in, boss. Yes. I love being the replacement. I feel like
when I put on my resume quick study, I mean it. Like that's not a thing I just write. That's a thing I mean. But there's extra pressure there too. And like I remember my last job before I retired, I learned a show in 5 days.
Wow.
And we went on stage and we did Anything Goes. And I remember that first night, I was like, I don't know if I actually know this. I mean, some of those words and some of those songs like are just very wordy. And you're like, what? I don't remember. And I'm not the singer. I'm not, like I said, I don't want a line. I want to tap dance. I want to tap dance on the ship and like be done. But like that creates a whole different set of pressure when you have that major expectation of saving the show, or you know, and then not injuring yourself in the process of like balls to the wall, learn this tap show in 4 days. Yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in. And I think some of the non-dance parents out there might be really interested to hear all of this, because like there's a lot more stress and pressure in our industry, I think, than people realize. I think people sometimes are like, oh, they just sing and dance. It's really fun. You know, the ballet dancers are so beautiful. They pick up girls, but like there's a lot going on behind the scenes, including anxiety and stage fright.
Something that comes to mind with another thing that makes me nervous whenever I have to do it in a show, to this day, and I'm sure Glenn, both of you have experience with this. All of us do, but partnering. So like I like to be in control of myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know how my body feels. I know if my leg's going to go at a certain height today, if my back's going to bend a certain amount today. Then when you put the pressure of like partnering with someone else, and especially like as a female identifying dancer, partnering most oftentimes with a male identifying dancer, and they're the one that's like manipulating you and like controlling you and guiding you, that stresses me out because I just don't know. And especially in audition settings, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, you guys have to partner audition settings?
Oh, yes.
That's
the hardest.
Oh, that's scary. Yeah. You don't even know this person.
Exactly.
Right. I don't know whether you can
hopefully
dance.
You know someone in the room and you make eyes with someone across the room and you're like,
There have been so many times where people will like straight up scope me out in the audition because I'm also only 5'2", so I'm really easy to partner. But then people also know that I'm a strong dancer, so I like know how to support myself. And people are like immediately go, Courtney, you're my partner. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And sometimes I don't even want to be their partner because they're tragic, you know? And like, if I have a partner that I can trust, that I've worked with, that we've worked out the kinks, like I feel a little bit better. But even to this day, you don't know what's going to happen. Adrenaline might set in and they might just be a whole new partner once you hit the stage, like, you know, and then it feels unsafe for you. So like that definitely, I'm scared of that. Dancers, parents, teachers, studio owners, if you've been looking for a way to get real, detailed feedback on your routines from trusted professionals, you've got to check out our service, IDA's Online Judges Critiques. Our critiques are done by industry pros, judges who are pre-screened through Impact Dance adjudicators, many with over 10 years of experience on competition judging panels across the country. And the best part? You can actually request a genre-specific judge, so the feedback that you get is tailored exactly to your style of dance. You'll receive your critique within 5 business days, guaranteed. Or if you're in a rush, IDA is the only service in the industry offering 24-hour rush delivery. And new to all my choreographers, we're so excited to introduce our choreography consult critiques. This version focuses completely on your choreography, not the dancer's performance. Your IDA judge will dive deep into your concept, transitions, costuming, style, formations, textures, musicality, and overall vision, giving you specific, actionable feedback to help your artistry grow as a choreographer. Critiques start at just $35, and trust me, they're worth every penny. Head to impactdanceadjudicators.com/online critiques or click the link in our show notes to submit your video today and see just why IDA continues to set the standard for professional feedback in the dance industry. We're truly making the impact. Prep for the upcoming competition season today with IDA's online judges critiques.
I remember, this is like a little off topic, but similar. I had forgotten about this audition. I auditioned for the Cinderella musical multiple times back when it was on tour. And I always got through to the ballet partnering section. And I am similar to Courtney. I am not even 5 feet tall. And I think I'm a good partner. I can hold myself and carry myself. But because I'm small, they think they can give me the smaller man. Mm-hmm. So like a dude who is 5'3", which like I'm used to partnering. My partners historically have been 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". So, like, I'm used to just standing there and, like, flying through that. Like, I have to do nothing. And this poor guy, we were doing the waltz, and there was, like, a press. There was an arabesque press. Like, and I was like, I can't help you any more than I'm already helping you. In heels, I'm as tall as you. Aww. This is not going to work. Bless. And it was, and I don't want to say that's why I didn't book the job, but, like, it did not help that this poor guy, like, it just wasn't happening. And it was unfortunate for both of us. But, yeah, we do have to partner in musical theater auditions sometimes, sight unseen, and it's not fair.
It's very rude.
Well, it's really interesting for me to hear your guys' perspective on that, because as a male identifying dancer, I've never felt partnering is where I feel like I am at my best. Yeah. I would rather partner than go do a solo. Wow. I would much rather partner than do my variation.
Nice. I love that.
But I don't know.
I want to partner with you. Let's partner.
Can I partner with you too?
Yeah.
Well, I've never felt like technique was my thing. I've always felt like I had a knack for partnering, because I was like I was a football player growing up, so like weightlifting was always big, and that's kind of what I always just set my sights on. Okay, well, I will always at least be a good partner. But I feel it's so interesting to hear your perspective, because I've always felt super confident in partnering. Just because, and maybe it's because of that control piece, is I've always been in control. And on the flip side of it, to also hear your guys' perspective, I want to share a story I wasn't thinking of. I was doing the male lead in Giselle. His name's Albrecht. And it was maybe our second show of the weekend. And I had just out of nowhere, a lot of anxiety came up the night before, and I didn't sleep and was struggling that day. And I don't really remember why at the moment. But I was a completely different partner in that moment. And I'm sure my partner was just scared to death. So I can't imagine actually being on the other side, not feeling like you were in control. I'm sure that's just hard to deal with.
It's actually relieving the like, I'm kind of like glad we're talking about this, because again, I've never really like talked to the male identifying side of this discussion, because I just usually chat with other female dancers who are like venting sometimes about their partner, and it's really like a deal breaker in dance. Like if you don't have a partner that like meshes with you or you vibe with, or that you can like even just give like, hey, I need a little bit more resistance here, I need a little bit more support here, or they take offense to that, and it's like and that's all like that kind of messes with your head, because then you're afraid to partner with them every night. You're going to get anxious, you're going to have anxiety, you're not going to perform to your fullest. Like there is a show, I mean, in musical theater, especially, like you do the same show over and over and over and over again. So like it's every night, same partner, here we go again. And if you're like not vibing with them, like I know for me, that was like one of my least favorite parts of the entire show. Every time I'd have to go partner with someone that like, I was like, oh man, they're just like, they're not giving me what I need. But when I have a good partner, like you sound like you are, Glenn, then it's amazing. It's like it's just like it changes everything, and you just have a blast on stage. So and then that's going to change how you interpret the choreography. That's going to change your execution, your performance. Like it really makes a difference.
We don't have to think about it. If you're not worried about it, if you're not worried about your partner, you don't have to think about it.
So like adding the extra layer of like another person that you're responsible of is anxiety in itself, because then you're already nervous about you. Now you got to worry about somebody else. It's tough.
Yeah, I never thought of that perspective. That's interesting.
And obviously, like, I feel like it gets better with rehearsal. Like, the more you work with someone, the less stressed you are. So, like, that kind of like is the answer to stage fright, I feel like, is good muscle memory and rehearsal. Know what you're doing, and you're going to feel confident in yourself. For the last Christmas, I got COVID, and I was out at the opera. And then the day I came back, they were like, great, you're going on tonight. And I was like, okay, I haven't danced in 15 days. And I'm like, okay, what track am I going on for? And then the partnering was all there. But luckily, like, I had been reviewing and we rehearsed before I got COVID. And it was just like, you do those quick lifts that you have to do backstage. And you're like, okay, like, I've got this. I know it. I'm a little bit rusty, but let's just do it.
Wait, when you were saying tracks, were you a swing?
I was a swing in Cinderella.
Okay, so I'm actually really glad you went there because I wanted to talk about swinging, which is...
Oh, I love swinging.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I do. I'm obsessed with it.
Okay, so to all of our listeners out there in musical theater world and dance company world, they might not reference it as a swing, but usually an understudy or a cover. So swing, cover, understudy, these are the people that are the replacements essentially. So if someone gets sick, like Caleb gets COVID, then someone else will jump into his slot and swing in, is what we call it in the theater world. So there's a lot of people who internally cover one another and know what the track is. And that goes to like what the choreography is, what their formation is, what line they're singing, what they're saying if they have any speaking roles. Like all of that comes into play. And I feel like I'd love to hear your perspective on that because you say you love it. Now, like, I've never really had the opportunity to be a quote unquote swing. There were sections in like West Side Story that I understudied, like the pas de six and the ballet and things. I'd have to jump in and swing in for that, but it wasn't like an entire show of being one person. And even just jumping into 1 3-minute section of a show stressed me out. Like, the amount of anxiety that I would get, and it's, again, we're going back to like, am I able to deliver? Am I able to follow through? Am I going to do the steps right? Am I going to remember everything? Like, that is so different than just doing your same show every night.
Well, and am I, and in the case of a swing, and am I going to mess up everybody else?
I care about everyone else.
You know, even more so than if you were just the general track. It's like the swing is really, and you know, Caleb, you can speak to this a little bit, but the term "shove with love." You know, is how you work together to help a swing. But Caleb, please go ahead and explain.
Shove with love is like when you're like, okay, I know the general vicinity that I'm going to, and your castmates are gonna push you right into the spot. They're gonna give you a nice little hug, or like, if it's a village scene, you guys, they're pulling you along. You're like, okay, I guess I must be over here.
You sing line 3 next.
Exactly.
Here we go.
I think swing people, they have the brain for it if you love it, which I feel like I do. I see formations and I see where the missing person is. So I see like, okay, if it's 3-5-3, I know where I need to go in that lineup. So that's always helped me with my swinging. The replacement job I had was for Lacage at Goodspeed, and I was replacing the swings, so I had to learn 8 tracks.
Oh wow!
In heels. Wow. So that was a lot of fun. I just love it because it is something fresh every time you go on. I love creating the show Bible. I love creating the notes and the videos and jumping into someone else's track. Wow. So you're staying in their track and their guidelines, but creating your own character and giving it your own kind of spice to it. That also excites me. I like mixing up things a lot. And I think knowing ahead of time the spots that you need to hit and rehearse are important for all those wannabe swings out there. That helps you so you don't get the stage fright when it comes to the number. You're like, okay, you have your hit points and you're like, okay, I know I have to sing this line. And I meet up with Jessica, the little notes like that. And that helps you get through the show. And every time it's a thrill. And then luckily, hopefully, you'll get to go on multiple times for that track. And you're like, oh, I love seeing Courtney at the gym. Like, it's fun when I get to see her. Or like seeing Lesley at the market or something like that. It's fun, like having those new moments. And it keeps everything kind of fresh for me.
Yeah.
It sounds stressful.
Yeah, I think it sounds stressful.
You're just like, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like sitting here like anxious thinking about that. Like, whoa.
My one swing experience was my very first professional job at Six Flags Over Georgia in the Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes show, in which I swung Taz, Daffy, and Tweety Bird outside five shows a day outside in Georgia in the summer. But the issue with that is when you're in a costume character or a character costume, you're like, who am I in? Who am I in right now? Am I Daffy or am I Tweety? Like the anxiety of trying to figure out which bird am I today?
That's so funny. That's so true. I'm sure it's true.
Oh, good memories.
Yeah.
Would the eyes be differently? Would you like see out of a different eye hole or anything like that? Or like
yeah, you see out of the mouth on Daffy. And you do see out of the eyes on Tweety because Tweety's eyes are so long.
She's got the big,
the eyes take up more of the face.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah. So can we let's think about our students now, since we have really covered ourselves as performers back in the day and currently. I remember I've had the students before who really did have some very severe anxiety about performing, and I didn't really know quite how to help them besides my suggestion of, we just need to practice. If you just practice, you know what you're doing. I know you know what you're doing. And we would practice and practice and practice. And, I don't know that that's really the most helpful. So Glenn, I wonder if from your therapist perspective, overcoming this kind of thing for somebody who's maybe naturally predisposed to anxiety, what do you have any tips or anything that has been useful for you with your students in the past?
Yeah, well, I think the practice thing is really interesting because if we're thinking of stage fright, ways that I've come out of my stage fright are typically through just practice. It sounds simple. I think what's important is that something different will work for everyone. There's not a one size fits all. And so what works for me might work for someone else. Typically what I try to tell students is, number one, we need to create some awareness around the experience we're having. So are we having anxious apprehensions? Are we having anxious arousal? Anxious apprehensions are those thoughts? Are we having some negative, deprecating thoughts that are ruminating? Are we worrying? What does that look like for us? So naming the experience, arousal being, is it a bodily experience? Are we sweating? Is our heart starting to race? Does our brain become foggy? Sometimes our brain becomes foggy when we get anxious. And if our brain's foggy, we can't think clearly. So understanding what we're experiencing. So I like to name it first, and then trying to figure out how they can then own that experience. So understanding that it's manifesting, own how it's manifesting. Acceptance is one of the most difficult parts of anxiety. But typically, if we're having anxiety and we think of it like a triangle, if we think of like our trigger and we think of our reaction, we think of usually avoidance. We want to avoid the anxiety, but that just kind of closes the triangle and then it continues, or a hamster wheel, right? So if we have anxiety, typically we get anxious about the anxiety and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So we need to implement something and some sort of acceptance, allowing the experience to happen so that it can run its course, and then some sort of intervention. So my favorite intervention is imagery. I love visualizing. I love imagery. So I have students, sit for 5 minutes, close your eyes. Let's think about the experience. So if it's a dance competition, for example, we might include the 5 senses. So what are 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you smell, et cetera, et cetera. So we're putting them in that environment to where they might then experience some of these symptoms. And then we're taking them through the process of it. We're having them get in the dressing room, get dressed, go backstage, all with your eyes closed, go backstage, and then dance. And how are you experiencing this? Because you experience anxiety pre-show, during, and then after. So the after is just as important. How do we interpret what just happened? So I like to have dancers walk through something like that. So naming the experience, owning it, and then implementing an intervention like the one I just suggested is an example of some things that I like to have dancers do.
It's amazing. Truly.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. The grounding techniques, I think, with the senses are helpful for anything. I mean, that's like a really great technique for any kind of moment of anxiety, is just to like root yourself in the experience. And I think for teachers, like that's a very easy thing to sit down and do with a whole class. of people. So like maybe you've got one or two kids in a routine that are experiencing this anxiety, you know, not singling them out and making them do it themselves, but like that whole scenario is beneficial for everybody, you know, just to sort of harness the power of visualization and coping ahead with whatever the scenario may be, because you know, when it really comes down to it, competition is heightened. It's a heightened state of affairs, and there's a lot going on, and especially for new dancers, or you know, I would assume probably back after 2020 when we had a season off, really, and then coming back into that environment of oh, here we go again, like what competition? It's been a year. Probably really, really helpful for some people to kind of get back in their body and feel what it's like to get back on stage.
Yeah. I liked what you said, Lesley, about or what you both said about sitting everyone down together and getting a collective. So then it feels like it evens the playing field for all of the dancers. I know sometimes you're dealing with like, I have ages 13 through 18 in my senior jazz. They're all lovely dancers, but sometimes I try and unite us all from the beginning of the rehearsal. We sit down in a circle. We like talk about our day. I know that's this, we go quickly. We can't spend the whole rehearsal doing this, but like something that bothers us, but you always do a negative, and then I always bring it back with a positive, and we all share the experience. So we're all working together. So it doesn't feel like you're alone in it, because you're never alone. And I think dance is such a community. And I think we forget that a lot of the times, that you really lean on the people around you, because it is a collective experience and you can really learn from everyone with you.
Yeah, I mean, even just listening and thinking about from personal experience, but also things that I've witnessed from other dancers backstage and getting prepped for competition. And like you said, the heightened experience of what competition dance even is, it's overstimulation and a lot happening. And I think that everyone has their own type of pre-performance ritual and things that they like to do to prep them mentally to prepare for a performance. Everyone's different as far as how they want to do that, whether it is let's all get together and let's have like this energy feeling and let's get on the same page and just have a moment together and breathe, you know, like breathing's important. Or there might be some of those dancers that will do that, and then immediately following, they will go in their zone and they don't want to be talked to, and they want to just think about life and think about them. And that's like what they need in that moment. But what I immediately started thinking of that I think can help is at least creating a safe environment and a low stress environment. Those quick changes are frantic, you know, mom screaming at you to don't forget your earrings, like, oh my gosh, you have the wrong shoes on, like whatever it is. But, you know, there's so much going on. There's so many moving parts that like, if we can just try to keep calm, I'm immediately like, no offense to my mom, but like I'm immediately thinking of my mother in those crazy days where it was just like chaotic and like, what are you doing? You forgot this. And, you know, like, cause it's crazy. It's frantic and crazy. And then that gets you stressed and you can't concentrate on you and you can't have your pre-show relaxation or, you know, mental decompression at all. So I think, you know, trying to figure out what works best for you individually, because like you said, Glenn, everyone's different as far as what's going to work for them. Some people might not have a care in the world before they enter the stage, and they might slay and make it look easy. And others might be so stressed out the moment they step on stage, and it shows in their performance. So it's like kind of trying to navigate like the main goal is to not have it show in our performance. You don't want that to hinder you and all of your hard work, but it's trying to figure out like what's the best approach to navigate that. And it's trial and error, I think.
I think that's such a good point, because I'm thinking of like when I remember being a comp kid, I was the kid who like, my dad and I would play basketball because they were always at like random high schools. And we would be playing basketball in the gym until it was like time to go on
That's
stage.
Awesome.
But other kids, but that was a long time ago. But, you know, I feel like everyone has their kind of thing. Like some people like to be super in the zone. Some people like to just kind of be like hanging out, messing around. We're talking with people, we're having a good time. You know, that makes me feel calm. But I think that's such a good point in understanding what works for you too. And then how can we implement that and be intentional about it?
Because I'm sure there's like a lot of moms who are like, you know, the helicopter hovering moms that are just like, are you okay? Is everything fine? Do you have everything you need? And sometimes the kid is probably like, Mom, just calm down and let me do my thing. Jeez, like, So I think on the parents' end, sometimes it's just nice to take a step back as well, especially if your dancer is a little bit older, a little more mature, and they're teens. Like, give them their space, let them do their thing. Like, at this point, they're practically professionals. They've been probably competing since they were 5. Like, they know the drill. They know how to change get their costumes prepped and ready. Like, so, that whole...
Or let them fail so they can learn something.
Yes.
That's a good option too. Like, get some responsibility to them. Like, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I was thinking about when we're judging a lot, I think the stage fright that you see, not off stage, but on stage, is when you forget your dance. And I'm always like, if it's a solo, you are the only one on stage. No one else knows this dance besides you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, find the beat and just give us some improv until you can remember something and keep going. Like, that it just, the more you push through, the stronger you'll be. Because when you run off stage, you lose all of the energy and the work that you've done it, and you're just kind of giving up.
Right.
I really love it. And I understand if it's just like completely not going to happen, but keep trying to push through and then come back. Feel like collectors, take the moment to collect yourself. Don't like come back on and then forget it again. Do what you need to do off stage to center yourself. Remember what you messed up. And then move on from that. So I think it's good to finish the dance when you don't do it the first time. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think an important thing to remember too, and like this is something I learned in therapy. So if you're not in therapy, go to therapy. The feeling you're having, whatever that feeling is, will not last forever. So if you're on stage and you forget that dance and everything in your world is crumbling and you're like, this is the end. I am never going to live this down. I'm so embarrassed. I cannot ever face anyone again. Yes, you can. The world is not ending. This is one moment in time. And like Caleb said, if there's no way possible that you can just do a step touch to the beat for 18 counts of 8 until you figure out, oh, here we are at the chassé, that's fine. Like, if you can do that, please do that. If you can't do that, go away, collect yourself, remind yourself that it's not the end of the world, because feelings do not last forever. And that's just really important, I think, for young people to understand, because that took a long time for adult Lesley to understand. So
great advice.
Oh, it's a struggle. I feel like that's something important too. Mental health I think of like anxiety, depression, or anything kind of like waves, it comes in waves, and it's a spectrum. It's maybe always there, like anxiety, for instance. It's just how you interpret it and what you do with it. So
yeah,
that's a good point.
Totally. Yeah. I'm really loving where this discussion went and all of our perspectives.
I know, me too.
Really, really helpful.
Unique.
Lesley, are you feeling good? Do we have any final questions, or are we ready to wrap it up?
I think we can wrap it up, because I think we've covered really everything and then some. I love, like you said, I love that we kind of took a little turn towards, less necessarily stage fright, but more just like sort of the general anxiety of performing and performance, because that's real, and it kind of all lumps into the same, fear that we all have is really probably, am I good enough? Is this good enough? Do I deserve to be here?
You are.
Core beliefs.
You do.
Yes, core beliefs, exactly.
Core beliefs. I hear that CBT in there.
You have been in therapy for a long time. I have learned.
You go.
Yes, but I think again, that's something as dancers, like, we are always scrutinizing ourselves. We live in front of the mirror, and we're not only seeking acceptance from our teachers and our parents, but ourselves. And of course, stage fright is coming into play. If we're already staring at ourselves in the mirror 24/7, hoping our plie is proper and our releve is high enough, and no wonder we're afraid to get on stage sometimes, because we put so much pressure on ourselves. So yeah, like we've been saying, you're not alone out there, dancers, if you've been feeling like that ever, because it's just a reality, and how you get through it and how you come through it is how you're going to succeed in the world.
Absolutely.
May I add one point to that, just for fun? Well, I think I love, Lesley, everything you just said, and I also think it's important for dancers to understand that what fires together wires together. So if you've created these negative thought patterns for so long, implementing one positive self-talk intervention or one grounding technique or one, whatever it is, it might not provide you the relief you're looking for, because we have to rewire what's been written for so long. Like you're saying, we are in a profession where you're constantly not only critiquing yourself, but you're being critiqued by others. You're comparing yourself to others. And so that wires your brain a specific way over a very long time. I'm not dancing anymore, but I still have many of those same thoughts every single day. So I'm constantly trying to be aware of that and rewiring it. And so it takes practice. It takes practice, and it all takes time.
It is interesting now that you say it in that perspective of like how we truly are getting critiqued all the time. Like that is, and then I start thinking about like, wait, hold on. So like, there's not a lot of other, like there are jobs that you get feedback and you get, your boss has to tell you something and it's negative, but like nowhere near as much as we do as dancers and performers. Like I didn't even really think of that. Our entire career in life, even in training as children, is getting corrections and getting critiqued and getting analyzed. Wow.
Well, I think it's a balance of, do you live for the applause? Is the applause enough for you to like the balance of it? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's it. Like, yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh.
That's the praise. Woo! That's another topic. Wow, like that. I don't know. We can't dive. Wow.
My bad, y'all. My bad. My bad.
Well, let's spin this around and end on a different note with some final thoughts from our fabulous guests who joined us. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Caleb, for being here on this chat. It was awesome to have you, and what a powerful discussion. What an eye-opening discussion for me, and I'm sure all of our listeners have hopefully enjoyed this. I really love where this chat went. And we always have our guests lead us out with just, a final little bit of advice, encouragement. If you want to talk to dancers, you want to talk to teachers, parents, whoever you want to speak to when it comes to stage fright, our topic for today.
Gosh, I think the most important thing I would say, and this would be to dancers, is enjoy it because, and I know that's really cliche, but enjoy it because it doesn't last forever, and what you think is important now probably won't be what you think is important in 10 to 15 years. So enjoy it to the best of your ability. And if I was speaking from my therapist perspective, I would say start to wire in some of those positive things now because you'll thank yourself for that later.
I think for teachers to help students learn to get that muscle memory, I always try and lead with a storyline. Find that character from A, B, and C so they know where they're heading. So there's like benchmarks along the way of their dancing. So like, I can't remember what's next. Oh, I'm doing this in this dance. So I know I have to get to that emotion. And if you kind of lead with a character and that storyline all the way through, that'll help you remember. And that helps with part of the stage fright of forgetting on stage, I think.
We hope you enjoyed our throwback episode from Season 4, Episode 128, Battling Stage Fright as a Performer. Special shout out to our guests, Caleb and Glenn, for joining us on this chat. Don't forget to follow them on Instagram. You can find Caleb at Caleb Dicke and Glenn at Glenn Kelich.
Don't forget to follow Making the Impact on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you want more exclusive episodes, support our podcast by joining our Platinum Premium membership for only $5 a month. Subscribers receive free Making the Impact stickers, shout-outs live on the air, ad-free listening, and exclusive access to our Q&A episodes for members only. Coming up on Season 7 of Making the Impact, we've got a Leaps and Jumps crash course.
Stay tuned for a brand new episode launching next week.